Well, we're at this again. I'm here to talk about social media. I've got a little bit to rant about, okay? Yeah. We're going to be talking about Facebook today. I've taken it upon myself to submit a complaint or inquiry to the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC. Reason being is the release of the Oculus Quest 2. I find it as anti consumer to require users to have a Facebook account, and those who have used a Quest first version or an Oculus Rift having to eventually, within the next few years, transition all of their Oculus account information to Facebook. I see this as anti consumer and anti competitive. My reason being for this is that they have tied the use of Facebook accounts to a physical product and software. The physical product being the Oculus Quest 2, and future use of headsets like the Oculus Rift S, and the Quest. I don't see this as fair to consumers who just want to use a product or buy software like games. I don't know of any other business offhand that requires a service in order to use their products. You wouldn't go out and buy a Tesla, pay it out in full, and then suddenly lose access to your car if you're not on one of their services. That would be anti-consumer. A lot of people would say, but Trio, shouldn't you be, submitting this to the Federal Communications Commission? Yes and no. Because yes, it's requiring a Facebook social media account, which it's a gray area, especially when you look at the fact they're a lot like other social media platforms where their terms of service and demands of behavior, conversation, talk are constantly in flux. They're always changing. I understand that argument fully. However, however, things do change. I understand people change. I understand conversations change. Still, requiring the use of social media to use a physical product is why I went to the Federal Trade Commission. From what I know, they're already investigating antitrust against companies like Facebook. And since this involves Oculus, I felt it was necessary in order to even try protecting consumers of virtual reality. As I said about it being anti-consumer, I am already aware of cases where people got a virtual reality headset like the Quest 2, never had a Facebook account, requiring that they sign up for Facebook, and then suddenly, because it's a new Facebook account, there are known cases where their accounts are suspended until they provide a government-issued ID to prove it's them. Again, anti-consumer, too much data oversight. I don't see that as fair to a consumer. I understand that even platforms like PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, you all have accounts. But I don't know of cases where companies like Microsoft Xbox platform bans you from being able to even use the product you purchase. I understand there are cases where you're banned from using their live services, but they don't, and from what I know, can't ban you from using the product for not having the live services. So it should not be okay for Facebook to ban people and block people from using a product they have physically purchased. If they have software that they've purchased, they should have legal access to it. I understand that there are some cases where they can be banned from the social services. Social and product services should not be that level of connected. And again, that is why the Federal Trade Commission has been notified. I hope something can come of this. Something productive. We don't want to lose virtual reality. We don't want it to come under the control of a social media platform. I understand that VR is often very social. I mean, this is a social platform too, to an extent. It's also a developer. But no, I don't want to like my controllers. They're actually starting to fail on me. I'm gonna have to eventually upgrade my virtual reality headsets or headset to something else. I don't want, because of my lower budget, to be forced to get an Oculus Quest, link my Facebook to it, because yes, I have a Facebook. I'm not giving it out. I don't want to share my Facebook with people because that involves my personal life, not my online life, not my gaming life. In fact, when I go on Facebook, people that I personally know don't like it when I talk about games. So I like to keep them kind of separate, you know? But I'd say I digress, but I'm not really digressing, am I? There are many other people who don't want to have a Facebook account. They don't want to have to use it in order for them to relax, have fun, or take part in commerce. I haven't gotten rid of my Facebook account because it's intertwined with my family and commerce. It's kind of hard to do business in any form without it. That's a problem. But now, just to play a virtual reality game, you're going to be required. Look, the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Quest 2 have something called Oculus Link, which allows you to use your headset on a PC that's, capable of using VR. Kind of like mine. I got lucky. But you can't even use Oculus Link if you don't have an active Facebook account that isn't suspended. So why is it a new adopter of virtual reality buying a Quest, goes out, buys a Quest, sets up a Facebook, but all of a sudden their account's suspended until they prove it's them, and then sometimes it still doesn't work. They just spent $300 to $400 for a paperweight. That's anti-consumer. It's anti-competitive. Because the way theirs is priced means that it's kind of hard for people to break into the virtual reality median. This industry needs fair competition. Having it priced at that level, requiring a social media account, that a lot of other users of Facebook are going to be like, what's Oculus? Isn't it just Facebook? They should be separated. They also went back on their promise that Oculus was not going to require Facebook. They got more and more integrated into Facebook, and Facebook is the one that made the decision, you need a Facebook account. They lied to their user base. They went back on a promise, and now there are a growing number of people who can't even use something they bought. How is that fair? Did they do anything wrong? Maybe some. But there are also plenty who didn't do anything wrong. And then they have to go out and share their legal identification in order to gain access to something they bought. And sometimes even then, it takes even longer. Like I said, you're not going to buy a Tesla and expect them to shut off your car because you're not paying for some kind of Tesla specialty service. They're not going to shut off your car because you don't have access to Google Maps. Again, excuse me. Allergies. How quickly would someone file a lawsuit if their car was shut off because their GPS they weren't paying for GPS services? That is essentially what Facebook has done. They are shutting off people's access to a product they buy if they are not using or suspended from their service. I can understand. It's like Xbox. Well, removing access to social services or online. I can understand that to an extent. But blocking the access to use the physical product, to use the software you bought, unless your account is active and in good standing. What about the new users who have never had Facebook or don't want Facebook? The other argument is, well, get a different device. Use a different platform. Are you aware that number's shrinking? HTC, which owns Vive, is shying away from the virtual reality consumer market. They don't have the Vive anymore. They kind of have the Vive Pro, but they're moving everything to Cosmos, which is not what I'd say the most consumer-friendly price. On top of that, HTC has announced that they want to leave the consumer market and go to the enterprise market, which means of the standard platforms, you have Oculus, Valve, and upcoming HP. 3. HTC hasn't banned me for not using their Vive services. I'm not banned from using my headset. Steam isn't going to ban me from using my HTC because of anything like that. There are still avenues to being able to use the headset on your PC. They might block you from certain social services. I understand that. Wow, talking's hard today. But they're not going to block you from using the headset you bought. That's what Facebook is doing. They require it. Facebook shouldn't be a requirement to use a physical product. I get it, free service. But it's a service a lot of people, even I personally know, myself included, don't exactly want to have to use. Facebook, I'm calling you out. The Federal Trade Commission has been notified. I want to see something more productive happen. I want to see access to what people buy remain. It doesn't mean they have to use your services because it's just a service, right? Other people don't want to have their personal lives dragged into gaming. Other people don't want to have so many accounts to keep track of just to do something as simple as play a game. Virtual reality is an incredible experience. I'm obviously using it right now. Woohoo. I mean, yeah, I've got my limitations. This controller's, well, both of them are actually breaking. Great, isn't it? It's really great. So, yeah, I might have to get a Quest 2 because that's all available. And that's all I'm going to be able to afford in the next few months. I don't want to have to attach my Facebook to it. I want to be able to just use a product I buy and not worry about whether or not I'm going to be able to use it if someone gets mad over something silly. And again, it's more than just that. It's the baseline point. I can buy an Xbox and not purchase Xbox Live or, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I can use my computer without Microsoft Office 365. I can use certain games without Steam by purchasing the game elsewhere. I can still have access to those things. Microsoft isn't going to cut me off from using a product I bought. They might limit certain services, but they're not going to limit my ability to use my product. PlayStation is not going to ban you from using the physical product, buying and playing games, even if it has to be by yourself. You shouldn't be doing that practice, Facebook. Again, calling you out. I want to see you testify to the FTC. I want to see you testify to the House and justify why you say it is important that people have Facebook in order to use a physical product. They shouldn't. Let's do something productive. Let's keep the virtual reality platforms growing and not control the entire thing. There are fewer companies that are still developing virtual reality for the consumer market. The consumer market shouldn't equal social media accounts that need high degrees of verification. That shouldn't be necessary. Facebook, make the change. Keep your promises. You promised with Oculus, when you purchased them, that you would not require people to have Facebook. Oculus developers have also said the same thing. You have betrayed your user base. I was considering getting a Quest 2 to have better access to VR, and so that way people in my home would be able to play as well, since we only have the one computer. That's all we can afford. But now, we have second thoughts. Don't think we want to use it now. Because we don't want our video games to be attached to our real life, where people are going to get up our bums just for playing some games and trying to just take some time away from all the problems we have. There are a lot of them. Don't add to it. Don't thrust our personal lives into it. Because unfortunately, we're aware that you know quite a bit about our personal lives. I'd like to see you go back to your promise of Oculus and not block people from being able to use the product if they don't have the account. Let them use it how they want. I understand that there are going to be some issues involving terms of service. Be balanced about it. Otherwise, you're going to start seeing some serious lawsuits come forward. Very serious anti-consumer lawsuits saying, I bought the product, they won't let me use the product. I don't think you want that kind of damage control. I don't think you want that kind of litigation, because that gets expensive for everyone. And that could cause the entire, I want to say the entire, but I'll say a vast swath of the virtual market or virtual reality market. It would cause significant damage. Hopefully not irreparable, because I'd like to see it continue. I like seeing the growth. I like coming in here and seeing new people using it time and time again. And the reason is because it tells me people are enjoying it. They like what they're doing. They thought it was just going to be a fad thing that was just going to blow away like those really, really dumb three-dimensional televisions that everyone was trying to sell as the next big thing. It really wasn't. But this is what people were dreaming of. Being able to just put on some controllers and a headset and being like, I'm in a game, guys. And aside, there are, some flaws. But they're easily negated with just how incredible the experience is. It shouldn't get muddled up with a Facebook account. Should I worry that if I get a Quest 2, that all of a sudden, because I had this conversation, or because I've never had an Oculus, all of a sudden my account gets shut down and I can't use the product? Yeah, I'd want to see you in court over that one. So I highly suggest you look into that business policy and see whether or not it's even legal. And whether or not you want to deal with the constant backlash from people complaining they can't use something they bought. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's work something out. I'm pretty sure it's possible. I'm remaining hopeful to keep seeing virtual reality grow and continue to improve. The experience is amazing. Facebook is kind of frustrating. I try to avoid it more often because I just get angry when I'm on there. There's too much of it. I like to relax. That's why I come in here. I don't want to drag Facebook into here. Okay? Yeah. Let's just have fun. Make it easier for people to use it. I understand you're saying linking and tying Facebook and Oculus together as a singular account makes things easier for you. Not always the end user. That's infrastructure end. We're end users. Make it easier for us to enjoy ourselves. Make it easier for us to have access to it without having to go through extra hurdles and extra worry. And again, if someone crosses the line and has a TOS violation, don't ban them from using the product. Ban them from the service, not the product. Because to me, that is an anti-consumer practice, and that's why I've already notified the Federal Trade Commission because of that. Hopefully something gets handled before it continues further, because I'll be watching, other virtual reality users will be watching. People are watching and waiting to see what you'll decide to do. Good luck. Hopefully we can manage to do business if you can manage to change these practices, okay? That's what I have to say, and that's my message to you, Facebook. Zuckerberg, if you see this, talk to your staff. Let them know that that practice isn't okay. I'm not going to go buy myself a Tesla and then not be able to use it because I don't have Google Maps or GPS service installed. I'm not going to do that. Do you know anyone else who would buy a car and say, oh, well, I don't have the service, guess I won't drive? Of course, reality is I can't afford a car. But if I could, I'm not going to just sit there and say, well, I can't drive because I don't have a GPS. It's called a brain and a map. People who have resources shouldn't have to use Facebook. Make some improvements.